talk more about the crypto market, let's welcome in Les Borsai, co-founder of Wave Digital Assets. All right, Les, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Bitcoin reclaimed the 90,000 levels, a little under that this morning, but it's been moving a little higher. It's been all over the place. You had some momentum following that announcement from President Trump, or the talk from President Trump about the crypto strategic reserve. Then you had a pullback after that. What's the catalyst from here for further gains for Bitcoin, especially when you see how its performance has been so far this year compared to last year?
I think there's a lot of things you have to take into account here that, digital currencies have volatility connected to them, and little moves impact great movement. Obviously, the scarcity of Bitcoin is the reason people look at it as a long-term hold. But when you look at the weekend and you see a crypto reserve announcement, and that moves it in one direction, but then you have the tariffs impacting it, or the outflows from ETFs or leverage, you have a lot of impact that moves not just this asset, and Bitcoin around, but a lot of the other currencies as well.
So, Les, you talked about Bitcoin being viewed as a long-term hold, but there's been some, outflows related to that this year. How much of that do you attribute, say some of the liquidation of holdings to the price action that we've seen in Bitcoin this year?
I think it's a part of it, but it's not the only part of it. I think we see other things that impact the market as a whole that we don't talk about quite as much. Recently we saw the Bybit hack, which was, something like $1.5 billion in ETH, and, that impacts currencies across the board. But then we see positives as well. We just saw a Senate vote moving to the regulatory side of things where they're repealing a Biden tax that could impact DeFi in a positive way. So I suppose what I'm trying to say, without getting overly complicated, is you have an incredibly volatile asset that obviously has, pretty good movements on announcements that are going in both directions. So, as I think about Bitcoin, I mean, that's the other thing. There's nuances in these currencies, and you have to have kind of a clear understanding of how they differ. And all of that leads to the volatility that we're seeing.
So you said there's nuances in all of these currencies. Let's talk about, the leader a little bit more. Bitcoin often seen as a hedge, especially, often it's called digital gold. How is it viewed now? Is it still have that same kind of view in the context of the tariffs that are on the table with regard to China, Mexico, Canada, and how that's contributed to volatility in the geopolitical landscape? Is Bitcoin still kind of seen as a digital as a hedge?
I mean, I think that was always the intention, but the fact that it is so correlated to financial markets was always a little bit surprising for any of us who've been in the space a long time. We formed Wave about in 2018, and that really was the outlook that we saw, not just with Bitcoin, but digital currencies as a whole. I think one of the things that this administration is doing, and they've obviously made a lot of progress over the last 2 months, is, by doing legislation, not just around this Bitcoin reserve, but a digital currency reserve, and you see the states following, you're going to create more of a foundation, and we're going to see, all of these assets become more kind of institutionalized. And I think that's when it starts to get really interesting, because I think that's really what they're trying to do, obviously with this crypto summit coming up and what they're going to be rolling out there.
Okay. All right, Les, we're going to have to, I wanted to dive more into your views on Ethereum, XRP, Solana, because that was talked about with regard to the crypto reserve. But we're short on time, so we're going to have to leave our conversation here for today. We'll have you back again. Les Borsai, co-founder of Wave Digital Assets. Les, thank you so much for your insight on the state of crypto, especially in particular Bitcoin.